Welcome everyone, I'm Gabriel and today I will be analyzing the 5 new screenshots that were given to us by CD Projekt. They are showing the Blood and Wine expansion pack for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It is quite possible that we will play this game, or rather I should say the expansion pack, using the terminology of CD Projekt, somewhere around 2 months from now, because the premiere was actually set to the first half of this year and we're already in April. Okay, on the first one we see Geralt in a very heavy type of armor set. You have these metal elements, metal platings that he has, and basically the whole design of this plate is kind of red with a little bit of added gold or yellow. I'm quite sure this is a heavy plate set and doesn't remind me of anyone that was used in the original game, which means it's a new armor set. But most importantly, the woman we see in this trailer, this is Henrietta, the ruler of Toussaint. Toussaint is the expansion pack's setting, a country that was most possibly not really affected by war. Well, it was probably affected, but not as deeply as other places we visited, which are like Skellige or obviously Velen. Why I know that this is Henrietta? Because sometimes it is good to look at the names of the files. This one is entitled The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Blood and Wine, Henrietta and an Entourage, which basically means quite clearly that it is her, the ruler of Toussaint. We see her in a very gold type of gown. She's also surrounded by these 3 women, all of them very distinctively looking, and they look like princesses more or less. She has a crown, and that means obviously she's a ruler. As far as I can recall, she's not a queen or a princess, but she's like a duchess. I think that's the correct name. And the final thing I want to point you at in this very first screenshot is the fact that the whole thing, look at the background. The background is an arena. It looks like a wooden construction with metal bars. I'm quite sure that this is an arena. This might be also only my speculation, but it looks like Geralt is meeting her in a place that usually houses some kind of fights. On the second screenshot, we see Geralt under a pavilion with, well, basically a wine meeting, which is hard actually to say. We're outdoors, that's quite obviously because of the light. We have those pavilions going, a lot of red in this image because obviously of the flowers. We don't see much other characters, they look very generic, but they are taking their time and drinking, eating. The title of this one is Beauclair is all kinds of fancy. Now Beauclair is, I will mention Beauclair in a moment when we will go to the map, but basically we see, I want to also point you in this screenshot that Geralt is looking a little bit different than previously. He has a different armor set. Very interestingly looking place, and one thing that actually struck me, with the amount of light that we see in this screenshot, I wonder why they bother to light candles, but what can you do? Now the third one is the most disturbing one, I think. Yeah, as the title says, I think we're not in the Novigrad anymore, which is quite obvious here. We see Geralt standing in the middle of an overgrown forest. There are 2 possibilities here. Either Geralt became very small, or basically everything is just big. We have those mushrooms that I don't recall any kind of big mushrooms in any of other game, or even to any other Witcher franchise book. There is in the middle of the frame a signpost which suggests that we will be able to travel, to have a fast travel system affecting this place. And obviously in the background there is this very kind of disturbing looking tower. Doesn't look very much like towers in The Witcher. Like for example the Novigrad towers, they look very different. And Geralt this time in a set that Looks much doesn't look like a heavy armor set. This is light armor, I would say. The fourth and this one is interesting because it shows us for the first time enemies, new enemies in the Blood and Wine expansion pack. These are Skelependromorphs. If you played The Witcher 1, you probably recall these. Those were insectoids that came out of the ground sometimes and they attacked Geralt. They were, depending on the level, I kind of don't really recall how hard they were in the first game, but I'm quite sure that the design and the way they fight and attack Geralt is very more is different than it was in the first game. It's harder to kill them than to pronounce its name. Sorry, the title of the screenshot is "It's harder to kill that to pronounce its name," whatever that means. In that screenshot, we also have this very dark-looking, at least that's in my opinion, a dark-looking statue somewhere in the back, and Geralt again in a different armor set. I like that they are showing different armor sets because this shows us the variety that we'll be able to see in the game. And the final screenshot shows us a overview of the region of Toussaint. We see Geralt in the foreground sitting on a roach, again in a different armor set, and down we have a harbor and a city that kind of like goes from the center of the frame to our left. Doesn't look like it's not as big as Novigrad, obviously. I'm quite sure this is Beauclair. I will go into that in a second when we jump to the map. But most important thing is that it shows a variety of places. We have this castle or kind of like looks a little bit like a church in the background on the other side of the lake. We see the lake, we see a harbor. We also have a road leading to the city. Basically, all of this shows us that this is an interesting place to visit. There is a discovery waiting for us as players, accompanying Geralt in this final expansion pack. And finally, before we jump to the map, I wanted to say two things about the cover art that was shown by CD Projekt a while back. We see Geralt sitting with only one sword on his lap, the other on his side. He's looking very interesting because he has this chalice full of blood, most possibly. It depends how you want to read. Is it blood or is it wine? The expansion title doesn't actually give us anything more that we can grab onto when it comes to that speculation. We see Geralt looking at the camera and this monstrosity above him. The big question is, for me, is will this creature have a same role as Olgierd, sorry, not Olgierd, but Gunter Odin had in the first DLC. In the first one, Gunter was an antagonist of the story, but at the same time he was involved. He was talking with Geralt. These types of antagonists are the best that you can think of. And finally, before we jump into, before I leave you, there is also the map that I wanted to show you. Where are we? We were here in Temeria, Vizima, Redania, Kermoren, Skellige Islands, and when you want to look at the map and find Toussaint, it is down here, where you have Beauclair. Beauclair is the capital city of Toussaint, and it is a city founded on elven foundations, but most importantly, it's a city that you can be quite sure that we will visit, because the screenshot that I showed you before, this one, the second one I was talking about, it's Beauclair in all kinds of fancy. And because the name is in the description of the screenshot, I'm quite sure we will visit that place. Thank you very much for listening and for watching. Hope to see you soon with other materials. I'm preparing a Witcher character series, which will be sort of a semi-expansion to my Witcher lore series. That one was done last year. Thank you for listening. Hope to see you soon. And well, yeah, Witcher. very close now.